Yes, it's lit up. What's up, geeks and gamers? It's your boy Q
and QMG.
And you already know we're here to bring you guys into the QUNIVERSE, where we talk to you guys about everything geeky, gamey, and nerdy. So what is up, everybody? We are here to talk to you guys. Had a beautiful day the other night. We got to see Joaquin Phoenix try his hand at the Joker.
Well, let's keep it 100. He didn't try. He let it. He blew it up sky high. He went in ham. He went in. He did everything he was supposed to do. So that's there some technical difficulties, folks. But he went in.
What up, D-man? Like a light.
Yay. But yeah, he went in. He did everything he had to do, and it was an amazing performance. It was an amazing performance, and the movie was amazing in and of itself. It was. I've seen a lot of good movies this year, both in theaters and elsewhere, and never before have I seen them just sat in a theater, having to go to the bathroom, have it and just been enthralled, not taking my eyes off of it, immersing myself in this film. We're gonna do a full review next week, but we're gonna give you our general thoughts this week.
Well, first off, I thought the movie was really done really well. I thought the movie had a lot of potential, and I think they knocked it out of the park with what they were given. Me personally, if I had to have my fanboy and my critical fanboy, it was great. It was amazing. It was shot well. It was done well. Yeah, it was a good movie. It was shot well. Joaquin Phoenix did a great job as the Joker. I feel like he did a great job playing his own version. The story wasn't too superhero. It was his own movie. It was his own show. I really liked that. As well as just the whole aesthetic of the whole show, of the whole movie. I really enjoyed it. Now, my cons, I would wish there was more of a cat and mouse-esque game where it was somebody actually that was an adversary to the Joker at the early stages in the movie, but for me personally, it wasn't, and that's just my own personal gripe with the movie. And at the end, I kind of felt left like I wanted more. That's just my own personal opinion.
I mean, I have a completely different opinion. I don't think the movie was meant to be a procedural, a thriller.
Fixing the camera, you got it.
It wasn't meant to be a procedural thriller where you would expect a cat and mouse. It was more of and we're not going to go any further than that, because if we do, we're going to go into major spoiler territory. But it was more of just a character study on how this version of the Joker came to be.
Yeah,
it wasn't necessarily reliant on if the GCPD or if any type of authority figure wanted to bring him down. It was more so just about his descent into the character of the Joker. And first of all, let's give a shout out to everybody that came in.
Sean, G-Man, JB, appreciate you guys for tuning in.
And Dre, QMG. Thank you, Vaughn. You know you got some money coming your way, Sean. You know you got the money coming your way, Sean. So just get ready to see Vaughn's sick face tomorrow.
Appreciate you guys for tuning in.
But yeah, the Joker was definitely a psychological character study that was very visceral, very much pulled no punches. I mean, I sat up and thought about that movie all night and all of today, just thinking about it and the performances. My opinion on it last night, we spoke about this on the way back. I was more along the lines of not really wanting to see a sequel, not because I don't want thank you, Vaughn. Not because I don't want to see a sequel, but because the movie was so perfect in my opinion. I don't want a sequel to kind of ruin the mystique, but after thinking on it, I wouldn't mind. While I'm not hampering for a sequel, if they did it and they had the same people and they were intent on.
Yeah, we saw when we saw the movie last night. That's what we're talking about right now. Our pros and cons on the movie.
A+. Really, I don't really have any cons per se, but yeah, I definitely. While the movie was so visceral and so emotionally draining for me, I wouldn't necessarily say I just have to see more of it. But if they have a good concept for the sequel that does feature a procedural, seeing him rise to the criminal aspect of the Joker, then I would be lying if I said I wouldn't be enthused about seeing it.
So what do you give obviously you give it, I know what you give it, but what do you give the movie out of a 10?
A 10. It's a 10 out of 10 movie. It's something that the comic book movie as a whole desperately needed. Something unabashedly different while still maintaining the spirit of the character it's focusing around. Like I said this going into the movie, and I'm saying it now, it's not a blockbuster. It's not made to make more movies afterwards. It's made solely to tell this individual story, and maybe if the people see the need to make another one, they will. But you can wholeheartedly just watch this in one sitting, accepting it as a standalone story, and it will do what it needs to do. So that is great. That's what it is. But yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 movie. Definitely see it at least being nominated for Best Picture, and I didn't see it going anywhere. So yeah, it is a must-see movie. If you are into high-quality movies, not just comic books or fiction, if you want to see a ridiculously good movie with good acting, good pacing, keeps you, especially in the thriller genre, this is a must-see movie. So yeah,
it's a must-see for people, like you said yourself, who like that genre. I can't say it's a must-see because not everybody's going to be into the movie. The movie isn't a very fast-paced movie. It has aspects and scenes that are fast-paced, but for the most part, the movie is actually a pretty slow, methodical movie. So I'm pretty positive not everybody's gonna like this style of movie, but for the comic book fan or the movie buff, it's a must see. It's a watch, but not everybody's gonna see it or see it that way. What up, Ski? Appreciate you for tuning in. Hunter, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Danye, thanks for the love and support. You guys keep tuning in.
And another reason, and that's something else that because it is a hard R-rated movie, so that's already people is already limiting our demographic off. So if you're into any type of movies, serious movies. And you need like an extra push in like the Joker, then you should see the movie. If you like thriller movies just by itself, you should see the movie. It has, if you're familiar with Batman, it has small stuff here and there, but it's not overt enough that takes precedence over the story they're trying to tell. It just adds. It's like getting some ice cream and then you open it up and it's cookies and cream ice cream. That's all it is. It's still tasty, but you get something extra with it. So yeah, that's something to look forward to. So definitely see the Joker. Definitely give it a watch if you're into it. I give it a 10 out of 10.
I give it. I think I might want to give it like it's hard because it leaves me wanting so much more that I want to say 8.59. I don't want to give it a full 10. We're gonna start making content. We're gonna start making videos soon. Got a lot of stuff coming down the works. We want to make content, but we want to make the best content we can, so we don't want to just constantly put out garbage content. We want to make sure we want to make something that y'all enjoy, that y'all find funny or cool.
Yeah, I'm still doing the news breakdowns. Whenever I should have a new breakdown for you guys next tomorrow about some news that broke over the weekend. We're still doing that. That's our main form of alternate content outside of this.
As of right now,
we're still going to do our versus series where we play fighting games with Dragon Ball Fighter still being the first game. And like whenever we get motivated, we come up with a dope idea, then we'll shoot another video like our very well received. Thank you guys for checking it out on Facebook and on YouTube.
How you feel when Spider-Man is back, when you hear Spider-Man is back in the MCU. If you guys haven't seen it, go to our page, the Geeked Up Media page as well. They're both on our own pages and Geeked Up Media. Go watch that video.
And definitely go to it on YouTube as well. Definitely give us the YouTube clout as well.
And whenever we talk about YouTube, you already know you gotta like, subscribe, comment, as well as like, share, and comment on our Facebook pages as well. But let's talk about a little bit about Joaquin's performance in general as the Joker and where he sits in the acting part. Not even being the Joker, just how well did he perform this specific role?
Well, that's gonna be kind of probably can't say too much because a lot of it is spoilery. But for just to keep it as non-spoilery and as clean as I possibly can, he very much was committed to the role. All of his idiosyncrasies for a person with his perceived affliction, it was very much that. It was very much that, and he nailed it. He nailed exactly what type of character he is. Whenever something was happening that seemed like it's so hard for me to describe it without going into detail because I don't want to do that. But just as if I can say as cleanly as I possibly can, every scenario he's put in that movie, he acts his butt off. He goes 100%. It's never over the top. It's never hokey. It's never any of that stuff. It's in the realm of what you've seen in that universe as you're watching it so far. You're seeing it, and he's acting accordingly, and it is very good. It's more than good. It's amazing in my opinion. Q.
Definitely. I think Joaquin Phoenix has always been a very great dramatic actor. So this wasn't out of the realms of something he's played before. So
yes.
For them to cast him as his character, it was definitely a smart casting choice. He definitely does this. Spoilery is not a word.
Yeah, well,
we make our own words on Into the QUNIVERSE. But get it or get lost. No, just playing. We want you guys to stay tuned in. But anyway, Joaquin Phoenix is definitely a actor who can pull that drama out and pull that side of human nature that might not be the most smiled upon sides. And he definitely did that with this character. And he definitely can even give him, as we're going to talk about next week, give off mixed feelings of the character. So I definitely think he did a great job, and just him alone, and even him acting in the movie where you would think he would be this character or type of person, he was very awkward in the sense that I think he wanted to portray a certain awkwardness that makes the viewer unsettled.
Yes.
Like, not spoilery, but he had scenes where he just laughed and laughed, even to a point where it was awkward for the movie watcher to like a certain length. Yeah, it was he definitely gave off a very strong sense of uneasiness and just I was uneasy. I was uneasy the whole movie.
Yeah, unnerved, uneased, disturbed, all of those things. So let's give a round of applause for Joaquin Phoenix's performance in the Joker. Definitely one of the best performances you're going to see in any type of superhero comic book or movie in general. You're going to see all year. So yeah, that's that. Any more thoughts? Non-spoilery, just condensed thoughts on the Joker before we move on.
Oh, that man was saucing through the whole movie. Shout out to Joaquin Phoenix and them dance moves. My boy was swagging.
Not just that, just the original score and the soundtrack with the licensed music was very on point. It was very on point, though. Music that they used, that the composers created for the originals tracks and the licensed, because it's set in the 70s. So there's a lot of very good 70s music that they put in the movie that definitely fits the tone. So,
definitely. He was definitely swagging.
What is that potion that is the half?
You don't want to know what's in there, man. You got that juice in there, man. You don't need to worry about what's in there. Just watch it. Just look at it.
You don't worry about what's in the cup.
I'll worry about what's in our cup.
Nah, that's our cup.
But yeah, so Joker, it gets 2 thumbs up in my book. That's #1 star right there, man. You already know.
I'll take the compliment. So, before we move on to the last topic, which is a short video, it's a short little podcast for y'all today. We do have some little quick fire topics that we can get into. So, let's do that. So, over the weekend, we've had the New York Comic Con, which is the big 3 Comic Cons of the North of the Americas. It's C2E2 that starts it off. Then San Diego, which is the biggin. That's the one that mostly everybody tries to go to, and all the people have their stuff at. And then you have New York Comic Con, which is been rising to prominence as of late. And they had some good announcements.
Yeah.
First and foremost, going as far as the CW goes.
Let me, not to cut you off, but small thing for all you Walking Dead fans. Maggie is coming back for season 11. It has been confirmed.
Well, let me get the bell because that was my third thing, so we'll just get into that.
Okay.
All right, so
teamwork makes the dream work. Maggie is coming back to The Walking Dead after her departure in season 9?
Yes.
After her departure in season 9, to be coming back as a full character, not a cameo, not
series
a
regular
episode, but she's back to the show for as long as they're gonna have her on the show.
Which according to the AMC, that's a long while from now.
And to sorry not to cut you off, but and to take you from a high to a low. The character who plays Michonne,
Danny Guerrero.
Thank you. I had a brain cramp. Danny Guerrero is not coming back. This is her last season. Season 10 will be Danny Guerrero's last season. They don't know yet. They just said she's coming back. No one knows yet. It was announced at the comic book convention, so we don't know exactly how Maggie is coming back, but she is coming back to be a series regular.
And the good news about Michonne and Danny Guerrero's character leaving in the light is that they're probably not going to kill them off. It's very much established that now, after the controversy with Carl's death and how it divided the fans and the previous showrunners' handling of it, they're probably going to keep, if the legacy characters chooses to leave the show, they're probably going to give them a proper send off. That goes for I have to tell you, let y'all know. all right, Sean. Thanks for coming out, man. Yeah, but they're probably going to give the last of the legacy characters like Norman Reedus. They're going to give them a proper send off for the show. And speaking of The Walking Dead, they did confirm a third spin-off show for The Walking Dead. Yes.
Okay.
And it has yet to be titled, and they are just now starting off on their casting list. So I'm
not gonna lie, I'm really more ready to see these Rick Grimes movies that are coming out. I'm really not even just really bent on watching the actual Walking Dead. I'm really ready to see where they take these Rick Grimes movie, and will the group from The Walking Dead ever find out that Rick is actually alive.
Yeah. Well, moving on from that to the next topic, we're going to talk about, since it's been jumping around, we're going to go from 3, 2, 1. So, secondly, we're talking about some of the last of the Marvel TV shows that are currently out and about. The Runaways had their new trailer for season 3 that put out. They're introducing the character Morgan Le Fay, who is played by Jennifer Hurley of Austin Powers fame. Okay. She's playing Morgan Le Fay. And they also teased the Cloak and Dagger crossover episode.
Yeah.
But the biggest news, that's kind of a rumor at this point, but definitely has a lot of credence to it, is that this will probably be the last of the TV shows that's coming out of the Marvel Entertainment Division. After it has been rumored and speculated upon, and I brought this up a couple of, 2 months ago in passing, but now more rumors and speculation has come out since then, is that all of the Marvel TV shows, like the movies, will come strictly out of the studio. And while there hasn't been any definitive talk on if they're going to bring over any actors or anything like that, the plan is for all of the live action Marvel stuff to come from the studio, be on Disney Plus, and to have a larger connection to the MCU.
So we're talking like Luke Cage, Daredevil, Iron Fist?
Well, I spoke about that last week. Not last week, a couple of months ago, that the earliest rumors regarding that was that a full-fledged reboot of the Heroes for Hire. Now, there was rumblings that the Netflix shows would end up on FX because of that. But now that it's being, and this is not one or two, but multiple news outlets of reputable pedigree that are coming out about that might nix that, but also might give them the opportunity to make it into the MCU.
Because I was going to say Joe DiMaggio, Kingpin.
You mean Vincent D'Onofrio?
Yeah, there we go. Kingpin. They're in talks. They really want him to reprise his role as Kingpin in the MCU.
Well, no, not the MCU. Jeff Loeb is trying to get him to come back for whatever show he's trying to do. But if Kevin Feige gets full reins, then that won't be. Jeff won't have.
As well as Mike, the guy who plays Luke Cage. He's in the new show Evil. So
and Misty Knight's actress, she's in another show. But it's Marvel, so if they say, "Hey, we're getting
they're gonna drop whatever show they're doing and go back to Marvel."
And I also believe that Kevin Feige, while he wants to have his own set of things, set of rules and his own set of shows that he has full creative control of. He has to know that trying to do better than those Netflix shows, which were phenomenal, they are arguably the best. Some of the outside of movies like Black Panther, Endgame, Infinity War, and Winter Soldier, they're some of the best Marvel.
What they didn't have, they had that Marvel the movies didn't have was episodes, so they could stretch out and have more arcing storylines,
and their characters were able to be fleshed out more, while also having realism to them and everything. So
I think the all Daredevil seasons, all Jessica Jones, all Iron Fist, all Luke Cage and Defenders are some of the best superhero TV we've had in a long time. Punisher.
I wouldn't say Iron Fist.
Shout out to my boy.
I wouldn't say Iron Fist.
I like Iron Fist
but that's neither here nor there.
I digress.
And also, I've seen a lot of people speculate on if that can work. My feeling on that is, of course it can. The same reason why I say Deadpool can work in the MCU with Ryan Reynolds is that a lot of these actors are marketable in both PG and rated R scenarios. They don't have to be. That's my and I'm gonna get on a tangent on that some other day. But my biggest pet peeve with the modern day superheroes and modern day live action content is that the need to try to pretend that there is some sort of only one way of doing it. One way of if it's dark and gritty, then it can never be in a lighthearted situation. Or if it's lighthearted, then you can't translate it to dark and gritty. You have to commit to one and accept it as that, and you can't do anything else. Charlie Cox, Michael Coulter, Kristen Ritter.
I believe Charlie Cox is the only. Now, don't get me wrong. I like all of the other characters who played these roles, but I feel like personally, if I had to choose one person that gets it into the MCU, it has to be Charlie Cox's Daredevil.
I have to say all of them. It's all or nothing for me.
All or nothing?
It can't be. You can't recast all of these. You can't recast all of these people, and every single last one of them has been pitch perfect casting. You can't. It's going to be a hard sell for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So.
You know,
but we're gonna move on to our last.
Hold on, just one more point. Since we're talking about the Disney Plus and Marvel shows, I was thinking the other day, are the What If Marvel shows live action, right?
No, the What If Marvel shows are CGI animation. Put in mind of those Captain America and Iron Man and Hulk straight to DVD movies. Okay. That's what the animation style is.
Okay, but they will have other actors playing iconic character roles.
They're going to have them for the most part. Well, not even for the most part. I do think that all of the actors who will appear in those episodes, however many they are the same actors from the MCU.
And just to backtrack to Joker, with this being a Elseworld story, how many more, since this had one of the best opening weekends of all time, 93 million off the opening weekend, how many more Elseworld stories do you think we're gonna get in the next 5 years?
Well, it depends on, it'll probably be a large,
or next amount of Elseworld titles announced, at least.
Knowing Warner Brothers, they'll announce 50 of them and only commit to one. But that's not. But I think it'll be a nice amount. It'll be whichever one suits the best type of story. I do think that characters like Deathstroke, like Swamp Thing, those dark leaning characters, Constantine, Sandman, they have the highest possibility of getting in on this action with Elseworlds, and more specifically their Black Label, because that's a name that's been throwing around more often than Elseworlds. They have the highest chance because they can really take advantage of those type of creative freedoms to tell the type of story they need to without feeling necessary to extended universe. So I'd say about at least 3 or 4 after the Joker's theatrical and award run are done. That will run congruent with the DCEU.
Are you calling it Joaquin Phoenix is gonna win an Academy Award.
Oh, and it'd be a crime if he doesn't. It'll be.
So Joker should win Best Movie of the Year.
It should be win movie of the year. I don't know anything. I don't know.
It should be nominated though.
It should. I don't know any movie that should win over it. To be honest with you, there hasn't really been any real good movies that I've seen across the board that actually.
When they see us, or what's the name of the movie?
What you talking about? With who?
The movie about the Park Five.
Well, that's a Netflix movie. That should. No, don't get me wrong. It should be nominated, but with it being Netflix and not traditional film, the Academy has a bad history of not acknowledging,
because streaming. One of the actors won that Oscar not too long ago.
He won an award for it, yes, but he didn't win. But the thing about how they see us. One, it's not. I don't think it was a movie. I think it was a show.
It was it wasn't a film. It was like a 5-part series.
Then I don't think it'll be nominated then. So other than that, yeah, Joker is really the far away movie that I can see in an Academy Award will win Best Picture and Best Actor definitively. That's just how I feel about it. But to go on to our last quickfire topic, even though our soundboard keeps crapping out. The DC TV slate has been updated. We got the definitive release date for the Harley Quinn DC DC Universe. I don't know why I said DC Plus. The DC Universe animated series, it drops November 29th.
Okay.
They have been releasing footage and stills of the upcoming characters in Crisis on Infinite Earths. They've shown Brandon Routh in his Kingdom Come Superman outfit.
Yeah, I saw that.
They've shown Lila and her, finally showing her as Harbinger in Crisis on Infinite Earths. And they confirmed and this was confirmed yesterday, that they will be bringing up aspects of the Smallville comic series in Crisis on Infinite Earths. So that is 100% canon, which means they're going to name drop Batman.
Is Dean Cain coming back?
No.
Because he was Supergirl's dad, so I'm pretty sure they're not gonna. Even though Brandon Routh is it, so I know.
No, they're probably not gonna bring him back because he's a racist and he's right.
We go.
Yeah, that's it for the quick fire topics. So
do you have any closing topics you want to talk about before we close it on out for this Sunday?
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't even have a topic. I just got a nice little. I have a quick aside. No, that's not the word I want to look for. A quick tangent.
Okay.
Tangerito to go on if you give me the floor. So let's talk about one of my least favorite topics on my least favorite things, and I like to call it fan entitlement. And what I mean by fan entitlement is that, I'm a firm believer of two truths in fandoms. That you have to constantly stay on these people. Your Marvels, your DCs, your Sonys, your Nintendos. You have to constantly stay on them to do the right thing. But you also have to respect them enough to let them do their own thing to deliver the product that they believe they can give to you. It is not beneficial for us to give them full autonomy, because when you do that, they will feel more inclined to give you bad products under the guise of them giving you groundbreaking. However, we as fans should not have full autonomy, because truth be told, we don't know what the hell we want most of the time. Most of the stuff we want are pipe dreams that might not be plausible. We might think it's plausible. We might say, because X company makes Y amount of money, that means we should get Z product. But that's not the case in all scenarios. The reason I bring this up is for a litany of things that have happened over the past couple of months. Chief among them is, and we spoke about this in a previous podcast, is the Pokemon Sword and Shield fiasco.
Oh, this is still going on?
It is still flip-flapping going on.
Still going on.
I'm not going to speak on anything new because it's draining and I get upset every time I think about it.
Yeah.
But the concept that because Pokemon Company makes billions of dollars, that means that every single Pokemon that's been released up until this point should be in these two games, and that they should all have unique animations is illogical, because at the end of the day, all those billions of dollars that they gain in revenue from their mobile games, trading cards, animation, merchandise, and previous Pokemon games are not all going to go into the funding of a next mainline title Pokemon game. Nor does that mean if they were to theoretically make that stupid decision, it would mean that the developers, game testers, all of them would be adequately paid and or get the adequate amount of hours that isn't basic slavery to create that product.
So is it possible to say that we can get it as DLC?
No, because that's still over 900 Pokemon that need to be individually animated, have like, I'm not saying all of the Pokemon can't show up, but I'm saying that crucifying Pokemon Company for not trying to do what literally no other game has been in a position to do, like they are obligated to do that, and trying to dredge up these comments that put them, that if you read them out of context, makes them look like liars, and then try to say, well, see, they don't listen. No, it's not they don't listen or they don't want to do this. It's that they can't do this because they'll be basically running a sweatshop. And for those who don't know, in the video game industry specifically, there's this terrible thing called crunch, where these AAA video game developers try to do these lofty, expensive ideas, and rather than delay the game until it comes out when it comes out, they'll put the pressure on their workers with minimal downtime, no increase in pay, and a lot of mental anguish to create this game that more often than not still won't reach those lofty expectations.
Okay, let's give them a gist of the good crunch and the bad.
There is no good
crunch.
Wait.
No, I'm talking about what games came out properly that had crunch.
There is no
Super Smash Brothers.
No, there is.
They were crunched. Sakurai was crunched. He said it stated it. And that game was amazing.
No, there's.
So there was.
Let me break it down because if you're going to bring up Smash, let's not.
But it is amazing.
No,
it's a great game.
Let's look at it objectively.
Brawl.
There is a lot of things wrong with Brawl.
Like what?
That the next two titles do not have no crunch. First of all, the gameplay. If you go back and you play Brawl now, that gameplay is butt.
How?
It is butt.
How?
Because
that's your opinion.
No, it's not. Everything in the
speed.
Let's
I need to know.
Let's first of all, if you're going to bring up a topic like that and try to justify crunch, which is never.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about what product came out good with crunch.
But it wasn't.
A lot of people like Brawl. A lot of people don't.
But that doesn't justify crunch because if you're going to,
I'm not saying it justifies crunch at all. I'm saying there is crunch that has produced good games. But lately we've had crunch that produced horrible.
But
games.
see, but you can't say that though because at the end of the day, Smash Bros. Brawl didn't crunch. It's the quality of the game still would have been good. The reason why crunch is not good is because
I never said crunch.
But
you can put out a good product.
No, because it doesn't matter if the product is good or not. It doesn't.
That's the point. The point is not if crunch is good or not.
Yes, it is.
The point is I'm saying there are games that have been under crunch that still put out good
But that's
product.
not the point though. They shouldn't be under crunch.
I'm not saying they should be.
Then what was the point of saying that?
I'm just saying there has been games that have been good under crunch.
But that's irrelevant.
You were saying that like there was no good product of crunch.
But that's my point. My point is crunch is should never be.
No, it shouldn't.
So saying if a game is technically good or bad is irrelevant.
I was just letting the viewers know that there are games that have crunch that are good.
But that wasn't the point though, because anything can be good if you just work on if you try to rush through it.
Tell that to Ghost Recon. Breakpoint.
They didn't crunch.
Trash.
They didn't crunch that game.
Tell that to Anthem, who was under massive crunch.
No, they weren't under massive. They weren't under massive crunch.
You know how much stuff they had to try to get in that game, and then they had to put it out at that time, and it was trash.
But you're trying to argue my point by saying my point. That's what I'm trying to get at.
I understand what you're saying. I was just giving the viewers an understanding that all things that came out of crunch weren't horrible.
But that's irrelevant because now because it doesn't matter if it was bad or good. It matters that it happened and it shouldn't. You're arguing the wrong point. The point isn't if that it happened or if that a good or bad. So you're
opposing crunch.
No, I'm of course that's what I'm opposing. But that's diametric. That the quality of the game is irrelevant. It doesn't matter if the game was good in spite of crunch. The point is that you shouldn't have crunched. Period. You should have let these people develop the game that they wanted to develop.
they crunch on their own choice.
Nobody's crunching over their own course. That's not how it works. That's a wishful thinking idea. Nobody is saying, do you know that when they crunch, they are sitting in a cubicle for 24 hours straight?
So what about Treyarch?
Treyarch doesn't crunch.
So they never crunch with any of the zombies content.
Why do you keep putting the quality? I'm giving you the example.
I'm not talking about the quality. I'm just asking, have they ever crunched?
But that's irrelevant. I haven't heard anything explicit in the term of them crunching. My point is that in the event of the crunch, it is not nothing good. These people are missing out on families, friends, events, missing their children being born.
So what are they
having their
what are they supposed to do? What is your solution to
What do you mean? What are they supposed to do? The common sense thing is to not be douchebags and force these people to work hours and slaves to put out a game.
Wait. Okay. So with not Resident Evil, but with Final Fantasy VII. They didn't. I don't believe they crunched that. Look how long we had to wait for this game to come out.
Okay, I don't care.
So you're fine with it.
Why wouldn't I be fine?
I'm not arguing. I'm asking.
Of course, I'll be fine because it's not the fact. Who cares? I'm enthused about a game, and if it takes 5 years, 6 years, however many years, and it looks consistently good throughout that years, I've already made the decision to buy the game. If for Final Fantasy VII Remake's instance, Itsuno, the series director, and Nomura, those two, not Itsuno, that's Capcom, Nomura, the director said he even regrets putting that information out because it was way too early.
Why did he do it?
Because he knew fans wanted to get.
But he didn't have to.
Let me finish my point, Quentin. Because what you're saying is not logical to these game developers. Game developers who aren't
That's
thinking.
What I'm telling you.
No, it's not. Because you're speaking on I shouldn't care. You're speaking like these game developers don't care.
I'm not saying you shouldn't care.
No,
I'm
saying
crunch is seemingly to be a part of the game.
No, it's just because it is. That's because it's people have made it that way. Doesn't mean it should be that way.
I'm not saying it should. I'm just saying for the most part, the consumer as well as the developer are in a constant stalemate because the consumer, they want the games that have sequels that come out regularly, and the developer want to get these games out at a regular pace. That's not
necessarily true. The consumers are going to buy a game regardless. If a consumer says there hasn't been there, and that viewpoint is skewed because we haven't had a major game delayed that has been promised outside of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and they were always upfront with the delays, and they committed to the delays.
Kingdom Hearts 3.
Kingdom Hearts 3
that was delayed.
No, Kingdom Hearts 3 wasn't delayed. Kingdom Hearts 3 was never started as early as they said it was. Kingdom Hearts 3, when they announced it, they were doing that under they didn't.
Duke Nukem Forever was a really big game that was delayed a lot of times.
Because the multiple studios that it was under went under.
But that has no point. It was delayed.
No,
that was the
my point.
We were saying big games haven't been delayed, and it was.
No, my point was because you said crunch is a regular part of the game industry. I'm giving you the example of the delays being something that the consumers aren't pressed about delays. Like you're saying they are to create a stalemate. For it to be a stalemate, it would have to be the developers know the fans want a game, but they want to delay it, and the fans wanting the game and not wanting it to be delayed. That's not the case.
So are you saying the majority of people don't care how long it takes for a game to come out?
Unless the developers have explicitly stated that, this game is going to come out this specific time frame and give you no updates on said game, that is the only time people have expressed frustration with the game being delayed. If developers, which from the most part they do, set out on making a game and it is delayed, and they let the fan base knows we're delaying this game to make it the best product period, nobody's going to seriously be upset that this game is being delayed and demand that the developers and the people working on the game work harder and give up their free time and their family life to put out this game. That's never happened.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that's what needs to be done. But
I'm saying that's never happened. Period.
So speaking of a game that you really want that hasn't come out yet, Bayonetta 3. We haven't heard anything. So you don't care at all that game hasn't even been spoke of after the war.
No, because that means that they're working hard on making the game the best ever. Why would I want this game rushed out? I I'm not a game developer. I wouldn't know the first thing about coding a video game. So why would I want people who know what they're doing, who loves this franchise and only wants to put the best product out? Why would I, because of my interest in spending my own money, why would I want them to rush that to appease me so I can have it as soon as possible?
Tell that to most of the consumers who buy video games nowadays.
No, who does that though?
A lot of people complain about games.
But see, you're
Shenmue. So many people was complaining about
Shenmue. People complain.
When we find out that Shenmue 3 was coming out, people were complaining, when are we going to see something about Shenmue? When are we going to hear about Shenmue?
But there's a point to that. There's a difference because they committed, like I said. That was the example of them committing to a release date and offering no updates on it. So quite naturally, frustration was arose. People, Kamiya and Platinum have constantly been giving updates about Bayonetta 3 that they are still working on it. They do not believe it's at its best peak right now, and they're not going to show anything until they feel that way. That is understandable. With Shenmue 3, especially with it coming from a Kickstarter that made all of its money that day of, then turned around and got its full funding from Sony that they didn't need to do the Kickstarter. There's a lot of other layers that you're not.
But they didn't. I don't recall them giving a release date early.
Yes, they absolutely did give a release date.
I thought they said 2019.
After that E3 press conference, they gave a concrete 2017 release date for that game because they got the funding to make the game.
And what about the people who were redoing Sonic? Even though that's a video, that's a movie, but what about the crunch on Sonic?
Thank you.
Where's Sonic at?
Thank you for getting me to my second point. That's my second point. That's even worse because I'm wholeheartedly against that. I've long said that Sonic fans are the worst and should stop stop listening to them folks because they're the reason why Sonic keeps getting lumps and taking L's because they definitely don't know what they want. This is coming from a Sonic fan. But that movie being delayed like that is terrible because one, if you think video game developers get it rough, movie animators, especially of the worst of those that work on CGI that's not a part of Warner Brothers or Disney, they get it super rough. And for that movie to be delayed to fix the movie, to fix Sonic, and Sonic is literally the central character, and you have these actors that shot these scenes where the CGI character would be, meaning that now if they're going to do the extensive redesign that they said they are, that means that each animator, which for a character like Sonic, I don't think you guys understand just how many animators it takes to create a CGI character.
So
like that.
Did you like the design?
Let me finish because it's more than the design of Sonic. No, yes, it is because these are people working with. I don't give a damn if the design sucked or not. I don't want people whose job it is to create these people who are already getting underpaid, undertaken care of to fix this character, which is going to cost more money to fix, which is going to cost more time.
In the comments, you guys let me know if y'all if y'all like the design.
That's not the point. If the design was bad or not, you know how you fix that problem?
How you fix it?
The movie's good. A lot of people see it, and then in the sequel, when there's ample enough time to redesign, you do that.
But who in the world doesn't? Our world is based like this. World we live in now is
that's a problem. But that is
people hate.
That's a problem. That's not something to
I'm just speaking for how people are feeling.
I'm saying that that's bullshit because you shouldn't do that when people are working hard to create this stuff and they're being underutilized. And I don't care if you care about that. First of all, you saying continuity. If it's fixing a problem, nobody's gonna give a shit that the problem is being fixed.
Oh, Sonic, I grew up and changed my whole face.
Who cares? Nobody's going to address that. If you're going to be a stickler about it, then you probably shouldn't watch the movie in the first damn place. If you're going to be a stickler because they fixed a problem,
that's obviously enough people because they had to go back
and now
thousands of people.
And you know what's going to happen?
Thousands of sticklers.
Yes. Who cares if it's
thousands of people?
Who cares the amount? You're a stickler. If you are one person, if you're more than one person, 2 people, 100 people, that doesn't stop you from not being a stickler. The amount of people who agree with bullshit doesn't make them right. That makes them bullshitters.
Thousands.
Who cares? And they're all sticklers. They're all. You know what's going to happen on Sonic? Do you not know for that character to be redesigned to the degree that they're promoting it, unless they half-ass it and say, "Oh, we only redesign one thing as an ultimate troll move," which they more than likely aren't. For that movie to redesign that character, who more than likely take up about 50% to 60% of the movie, out in basically as all CGI live action movies go, and to reanimate all of his fast-paced scenes, to reanimate all of his stand-ins with James Marsden and Jim Carrey and all of these other folks, that's going to cost millions of dollars. And for a movie like Sonic the Hedgehog, that movie wasn't guaranteed to make anything over $100 million. So that now means that that movie is probably at a higher chance to take a loss, meaning that all of this time and effort spent on trying to fix a problem that now you probably exasperated the problem is going to negatively affect this movie and the franchise.
Well,
that doesn't.
I didn't think the movie was gonna do that good anyway, and I didn't think it was gonna do any better.
But you know what? That's irrelevant because it doesn't matter if the movie does. If the movie has a low bar and they meet it or they're right under it, that's alright. If a movie now,
it ain't.
Are you making the movie? Do you not know how movies work? It doesn't matter what your fanboy bullshit goggles go. When we're talking about checks and balances, when we're talking about people's time and effort, it doesn't fucking matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how it is. It's about the time and effort and how much of a loss or a gain that movie is. We talked about Venom last week. And we talked about how Venom was. You said it was trash. I said I was like, did you know the undisputable fact about it? It made back 4 times its budget at the box office. Which means that the next Venom that comes out will probably fix the problems that people had with the first one.
Hopefully it does.
And not hopefully, it's probably more likely a guarantee. Most movies nowadays that make more money than it did the
Amazing Spider-Man 2?
The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is a blockbuster franchise.
But it wasn't good, though.
No, you're missing my point. It's not the fact that it was good or not.
It fixed the problem that it had. No. You said usually...
You don't even... That's not my point. I'm not talking about blockbusters that are too big to fail. But these movies that are too big to fail will always get sequels, reboots, regardless. I'm talking about these... I'm talking about these low-risk movies that are just starting out. There is a reason why Venom is going to probably be hard R and be the movie people wanted the first movie to be, because now it has the leeway to do it because of the budget it made. If they would have tried to reshoot the movie to try to make it what people wanted the first time, it would have failed because now the budget is inflated. Now the movie is too chopped up to be coherent, and now the ideas that they were trying to commit to the first time around, now that's completely muddled. So now even the stuff people could forgive aren't there anymore.
So if you commit a product that's subpar,
it's not subpar if you made $800 million and there's a large community of people who either acknowledge it as being okay to good.
Okay, and a lot of people that see it okay is not all that hot.
But it's not a garbage. Trust, make no mistake about it. Venom is not even close to being one of the worst movies of all time. Let's stop.
But it was but that's superhero movies.
No, it's not even that. It's nowhere near close to that. It's not. There was
It wasn't that good.
But it's not the worst. It is not the worst. You have to.
There's a lot of cons to Venom. I can point out.
No. Let's get our wording correct. There's a difference between cons and worst. Cons is something that you didn't like.
It's bad.
Worst means that there is nothing to be redeemed about it.
It's bad.
It's not something that is $800 million.
So the acting was top tier acting?
It was good acting in it. There were scenes that was like, okay, I'm convinced about these characters. You know how many damn MCU movies have acting on par with Venom and make just as much as those movies?
Wow, okay.
What do you mean? Wow.
We're gonna leave that for another.
My point, my aim last.
At the end of the day, everybody, we do not condone crunch. But obviously, we have some people who feel like there is no reason there are no people who believe to crunch to get out a good product.
That's not how it works. So, you don't work.
The people who in college right now who party and then gotta go and do stuff and gotta.
That's bad. That's not encouraging.
All those people who didn't want.
That's not encouraging.
Who got degrees and all that, and they had to crunch.
That's not something you should strive to do.
All those people who are juggling jobs and going to school, more power to you, because y'all got to crunch everything.
That's not something that's completely different.
Stuff people do.
No, because that's something completely different. Because people having to work a job and go to school, they have already committed to that time to put in to do that. When you work that job, this has not been going on for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. That's the point. It's been going on for too long.
So if you get this job, you're gonna know you're gonna crunch at some point. So you know ahead of time.
But that's not good. That's the point.
So then don't get the job then, Kumani.
That's not the solution, Quentin.
Okay,
the
but you just said
solution
you said it's
is
different.
no. The
You said
solution
it's
is
different
the
from the
solution is when you go into these, when you're dealing with these studios that have
Tell them no and lose your job.
No, you're not. That's not my point.
Right.
The point is that these studio heads know that they have more than ample enough time because there's been more than enough examples where delaying your game will not negatively, in fact, impact your bottom line. That is fact. There is no video game out there that, barring the studio closing and reopening and closing, if you are a stable studio in video games, you can afford to delay your game by years and still get a return on it. There is no logical reason to crunch on movies, video games, television. There is no logical reason. Comparing that to people working 3
There's no
jobs.
logical reason. So
And
why do they do it?
Because it's an easy way for them to get money and be cruel and greedy.
So why don't the developers just strike if they know that there is no?
Do you not know that the video game industry isn't built like a television or movie industry? So doing that would
It will
literally,
still cost them billions.
and nobody would get jobs, Quincy. It's not.
If you strike,
You can't just up
If
it.
you strike, no one would. That's the point of a strike. You quitting your job to strike.
But you're missing the point. Video games aren't unionized. So if they strike, they get no revenue, while the people that they're striking against still gets revenue from the some licensing sales of the video games. It's much more
But
complex than
it
that.
still hits their pockets pretty.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't hit the market
you
hard.
strike a whole
If
game,
you're
whole
Sony,
game.
if you're Sony, and let's say Insomniac strikes because the next Spider-Man game they have to crunch. Do you know how many licensing deals they have where them striking on this one game doesn't affect their bottom line, or it puts a dent in their bottom line? And meanwhile,
if the whole developing team for each Sony game, if they're all crunching and they quit, that is gonna dampen their pockets.
barely. The crunching doesn't get changed unless it's legal stuff. If they take it to a legal court,
So
and even
who's gonna change crunching?
it's going to take a mass. It's going to take a mass understanding in the game. First of all, nothing gets done unless they unionize. Unless they unionize and they have things in place to do that. It's not just as simple as, oh, I'm going to protest and quit my job. No, you're doing that with no safety net, and that's the fucked up thing about it, because there's no safety net and there's no union to do that. And the way that the video game industry is set up is that there is no type of protection to help these guys do this in the first
So what
place.
is the solution to
The solution-
crunching?
the solution-
You're not telling me anything.
The solution to it is that us as consumers have to make it known that we can't just sit there and go, well, there's been good games to come out of crunching. No, we have to stay on these developers to not make these people crunch. We have to help empower when there's petitions and stuff like that, which have popped up over the years.
Tell me the latest petition for crunch.
The latest petition to unionize video game industry,
Oh,
which I was
unionize.
getting at,
Okay.
that's which prevents crunch entirely. There has been many of those that popped up, and unfortunately, you have those big wigs, the EPA. They are the people who dictate video game industry's fate. They're the ones who lobby to the government and try to justify loot boxes and all that other BS. They're the ones who do that. So we have to make sure we're supporting them when this stuff comes up. When the developers speak out, we have to make sure they support them and give them enough reason to build up on stopping this, so this crunch does not happen. We have to hold these game developers accountable so this stuff does not happen. That's how we help. That's how we begin to solve the problem. It doesn't have a quick, clean solution yet, but there are ways for us to stop that.
What up, Uncle Ellis? Appreciate you tuning in. Big Charles, appreciate you tuning in, man.
Yep. There are ways for us to stop that. There are ways for us to make sure that these video game developers are protected, where they're not crunching, and if we have to sit there and wait a couple of years more for these very good games to come out and not have these folks have their times and lives wasted, then so be it. That's the sacrifice. If we are calling ourselves fans and enthusiasts and just having plain flat foot empathy for other folks outside of our situation, that is what we have to do. We can't sit there and go, well, other people crunching other things. That's different. That's by choice and needing to get to the next level. That's not something that, oh, you go into this job thinking that there's no reason why something should take longer and you should be able to.
So you're
rush
telling me within the 10 years to 20 years of all these high-end games coming out, that there haven't been young people coming into this industry not knowing there's a potential for them to crunch? That is not
just
true.
because
that is false.
that is not the point. Just because
No,
you
'cause
have.
keep saying
No,
you-
that's not what I'm
'cause you're-
saying.
Yes, you are. You literally just said I said they crunching other things, and these people are not choosing.
But that's
if
not.
I come into this,
But they
industry,
shouldn't be in
no,
the position
I'm not
when
saying
you
they
are
should
going
be.
to a.
I'm not
there-
saying they
when
should
you are,
be. You're cutting me off. I'm not saying they should be.
Then what are you
I'm
saying?
just saying you brought up the incident where I
But
said
I
that
told,
people in college.
but that's not
and
the
you said
same
they
thing
should.
because
No,
when you're
it's
in
not.
college, you are in school and you are getting a job on their side. You are not in a comfortable position
Because you're trying to move.
No, that's not
So
the
you're
point.
crunching.
That's not it. That's not
How is
it.
that not the
Because
same
when you're a video game developer, there is a precedent set on how much money you should be making. First and foremost, that's why crunching is. That is one.
Okay,
of the
so
main
one of your main reasons is the monetary.
No, one of my main reasons is that when you are in a specific position, you apply it to a certain position, there is a certain standard that must be upheld for you, or else it is not adequate to what you signed up for. It is no reason why a video game developer should be treated like a part-time worker on a game that they have went to school for. That they did. But so that is why crunch is one of the main reasons.
Okay, then why didn't you just say that? You didn't say that at first.
That's the point. That is.
You didn't say anything about the monetary aspect.
That shouldn't be said though. That should be.
I don't know everything.
That's understood.
I don't know everything.
When you go into certain fields,
how much annually does a game developer make?
You don't need to know the specifics to understand the general idea of how much some people should be made when you apply for a job. If I apply for a job as a football coach and I have a pedigree and I have a pedigree and a background to be a football coach, I shouldn't be the stadium janitor to build up for me being a football coach. What I apply to be should be that and be that in the
some coaches have to start off as a coordinator or assistant.
I didn't say
they have the credentials.
I didn't say that. I'm not talking about being a coordinator or any of that. I'm talking about being not doing any of what you apply to be, and you have that credentials, and they say they're going to hire you as a head coach. What
instances have that happened? I'm asking. I'm
giving you theoreticals, not specifics. That's my point.
I'm talking about for game developers.
That is crunch. When you crunch, you're doing multiple different jobs than you are doing. When you're crunching, that means everybody is doing the most for the least. That means, say you're responsible for a level design, but you're in crunch mode. Now that means you have to do level design. Now you have to do character models. Now you might even have to do coding for extra part that you didn't sign up to do, and is now requiring you to devote 100% of your time to doing. That is what crunch is. That is what crunch is doing. All of these, say it's 200 people working on a specific AAA game that it requires 200 people to work on, but they're going into crunch mode. Now that means those 200 people that was responsible for that particular thing now has to do something else and something else and something else, all at the same time with no breaks, no stops, no nothing. That is what crunch is. That is what crunch is. That is what crunch is. That is not something that you were supposed to do in the gaming industry, because it's supposed to be managed correctly.
100%. Everybody in crunch mode isn't doing this. Yes,
they are.
No, that is not only thing in crunch. Crunch is also a person specifically for the specific task is, like you said, working hours nonstop.
It is rarely that when it is referred to crunch.
But it is
rare, and even then, nobody really qualifies that as crunch.
But
even regular video game developers have people that meticulously go over a particular thing when it's the adequate time that they scheduled out. That's not specific to crunch. What is specific to crunch is overworking and overtasking a development cycle that shouldn't be the case. That is what crunch is. When you're pulling in all of these resources to do too many things that they're not able and capable of doing. That is crunch. Not working hard on the specific field you signed up to do. No, it's not, because you can do that on a regular work cycle, on your regular development cycle that you've already planned out with no crunching. Working hard isn't crunch. That's a myth. Working hard and crunch are not the same thing.
No, when you're working extremely over the amount of work that you are normally doing, that is what crunch is.
And
not spreading. Now, there is crunch, like you said, where they do spread.
That is crunch, period. You're not working hard on a game is not crunch.
If I'm a developer and I am developing the level design, as you said, and I have to work 20-hour shifts.
That's not crunch.
And I have to work 20-hour shifts, and I only get one break. That is crunch.
No, it's not, because you're accustomed. That is a scheduled time you planned out.
No, if they're telling me that is crunch.
That is the stuff that they scheduled out, and you're not. That is not crunch. If you're the one person,
if we work 10-hour shifts, or say we work 8-hour shifts every day, and they're like, man, we got to get this game out, this, that, and the third. So you guys got to come in for 20 hours, and you guys got to work this shift, and you only get one break. That is crunch.
No,
yes, it is.
That is not specific.
Yes,
crunch.
it is.
That is not specific.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not, because the game, if the game might, if the only way it is crunch is if they're doing it in a short amount of time.
That's what I'm saying.
You didn't say a short amount of time.
They said
you
said they had to get this game out.
No, let's get the game out.
That's in a short amount of time.
You didn't say short amount of time. You said get the game out. Get the game out can be can span any amount of time.
In a short amount of time. If I have 12 months,
because if you say a short amount of time, that's different.
Okay, a prime example: the gap between Smash and Melee. That was the original Smash and Melee. That was crunch. They had literally almost 9 months to get that game out.
Yes, the Smash Melee has a litany of problems.
And I'm pretty positive there were people who were crunching the way you said crunching. And I'm pretty sure there were people specifically tasked for this, but had to get it out at a certain amount of time.
And yes, and I never argue Smash Melee not having crunch. It's notorious for the crunch. And a lot of the problem, and if you forget, Smash Melee is not a polished game. It's good in spite of the many things wrong with the game. That is not something that still doesn't make it a positive. They definitely crunched on Smash Melee. Make no mistake about it. But that's irrelevant if it was good or bad. They still crunched. They should have crunched. It's nice that Sakurai doesn't, well, at the very least in interviews, doesn't say it was a painful time on his life. He says that for Brawl. But at the end of the day, Melee's crunch was objectively bad.
I just know what my point was. You're constantly saying that there is only thing that is crunch is everybody on the development team has to do 30 million things, and there will say there's 5
in a short amount of time.
No, I'm not talking about the show. I know, I get that part, but I'm saying say it's 5 developers on this team. Maybe 4 of them do have to do multiple things, but there might be 1 or 2 that are designated to do this one thing in a short amount of time along with these people. Not everybody is doing 5 things. Some people are doing 1 major thing. Some people are working on level design while everybody else is doing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I get that. But I'm saying that is not a fact that everybody in crunch is doing multiple tasks. That is not true. That's what I'm saying. But with that being said, we've already run past the time. This was a heated discussion today, guys, about crunch. Once again, we do not condone crunch whatsoever. You guys, thank you for tuning in.
At the end of the day, folks, temper your expectations with these entertainment products.
Definitely.
You never know. It's not worth these. It's not worth these people mental anguish, physical anguish to get something out as soon as possible.
Shout out to Daddy Sakurai for giving us some of the best games. Super Smash Brothers, appreciate it. We don't want you to crunch no more. But thank you guys for tuning in. This was Into the QUNIVERSE. You already know it's Q
and QMG.
Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Like I always say, shout out, follow us on YouTube, go subscribe, share, comment, go follow us on Into the QUNIVERSE fan page, Geeked Up Media page as well. You could like, share, and comment this video. Go watch our other videos on our pages. And you guys always know we come to bring you guys everything geeky, gaming, and nerdy. This was the Into the QUNIVERSE podcast. And you know how we gotta do. We gotta sign it on out. Peace.
See if the soundboard works. It doesn't. Game over.